Elizabeth in Farmington, Michigan. You are on the air with Scott Carter. Elizabeth, what's on your mind?
Hi, thanks for taking my call, Tom. I wondered if Mr. Carter had ever heard of a book called The Journal of Albion Moonlight, written by Kenneth Patchen. It contains a quote that I thought might be relevant to the discussion. He asks, the question is not do we believe in God, but rather does God believe in us? And the answer is only an unbelieving public could have created our image of God, and only a false God could accept it. I was interested in hearing your comments on that. Thank you.
I very much embrace the sentiment that you read, but I was not familiar with it previously. So thank you, Elizabeth, for increasing the range of my knowledge.
It's a remarkable stuff. Noelle in Riverside, California. Hey, Noelle, what's on your mind today?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
I wanted to say a word about Bill Maher. He's one of my top favorite guys. I enjoy watching the old politically incorrect shows. And he actually has said on some of them, I believe in God. And I don't know what happened to him over the years, but now I cringe whenever he makes fun of, God or Jesus. I still enjoy him and appreciate his backing of the, middle class. And also, if there is a supreme being, and there is, according to any computer analytics or anything, and Mount Ararat does have Noah's Ark on it. It's proven, there are books about it. That God is not a God of confusion. Jesus was born in this world. Anybody who just accepts that he was perfect, he did good, and he died for anyone who would accept him, God will accept. And it's, God is not a God of confusion. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Noelle, that very, very well said. We just have a little more than a minute until we're going to hit a break. So let's get Scott's response to what you had to say, Noelle. Thank you.
Well, thank you for watching both Real Time and Politically Correct before it. And Noelle, you will be interested that in the next year, in fact, I just came here to Portland from LA, where we were working on, we're going to do a 1-hour special at some point in the year. I think it's going to be in June, of looking back on the last 25 years of those two shows. And so we've been looking back at these old clips and all these, and we have a lot of people who've done interviews giving praise about the show, people who've been on the show a lot, Michael Moore and Billy Crystal and Seth MacFarlane and a lot of other people, Sarah Silverman. Anyway, so look for that. We come back on January 19th. Thank you for watching. And what I would say is, it's a tribute to Bill that he is willing to have on a regular basis people who completely disagree with him, whether it's Cornel West or whether it's Andrew Sullivan or whether it's any different priest or a pastor who we have on. He does not mind being challenged. And I think that's a tribute to him as a host. There are a lot of hosts who only want people who agree with them. So anyway, so thank you for watching.
That makes for a terribly boring program. If you
Right.
only have people on who agree with you. I mean, it's just, and you guys do anything but a terribly boring program. You've got a brilliant host, a brilliant producer, and brilliant topics. We'll be back with more of Scott Carter taking your calls right after this. Stick around. Welcome back. 10 minutes before the hour. And Roger in Petaluma, California, you are on the air with Scott Carter, our guest. Go for it, Roger.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, Roger.
Just in short, I would like to discuss a modern idea of what faith is, and something I think that all of the elder statesmen of our country have subscribed to, at least in their own way, before they try to put it in human words. And I think that faith and spirit, I don't call myself religious, I call myself spiritual. I have a healthy faith in creation and a divine being behind that. While I don't try to define it as heavily as I think has been done historically, the most important attribute that I take away from that is that we individually can have an interactive relationship with our experience, in that our doings are reflected by our happenings. And therefore, I think that it can be made a lot more simple. I get these ideas from some of the greatest teachers in my life who have been women. And I'm a gymnastics gym owner who came from a broken home, who was, on his own at 15 years old. So there's no reason on paper I should even be where I'm at. But the reason I bring that up is because the greatest observation that I can make inside of gymnastics learning is that women process it faster. And I think that that's always been demonstrated throughout history. And the sooner we allow women to move our progress forward, I think the sooner we'll get healthier understandings, modern understandings of that interactive relationship. I absolutely believe in prayer, and I believe that it's those attributes that have excelled my life to be where it is. And I just wanted to know your comments on that, Scott.
Thank you, Roger.
Well, Roger, thank you very much. And what I would say is that I know a lot of people who are spiritual without having any official religious affiliation. And I think that this time that we are living in right now, where there is so much emphasis on materialism, I think there's going to be a backlash to that, because at the end of the day, life is a mystery. And at the end of the day, we can't all be billionaires, but we can all begin to find meaning in our lives and ask ourselves the big questions. And so I think that the kind of comment you're expressing, I think more people are going to be going in that direction in the coming years.
LeMetric, if I'm saying your name correctly, in Rancho Cucamonga, California. You're on the air.
Hello. Yes, my name is LeMetric, and yes, I'm calling from California, and I'd like to talk about the sexual harassment atmosphere. I'd like to get your comments, because I'm not happy with the results of Al Franklin, and I want us to sort of push away at this time from politics. I don't want to look at the fact that, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't really matter. But most people like righteousness. They like the right thing to be done. And when it comes to Al Franklin and the sexual harassment charges, allegations rather, I'm very concerned. Today, one of the reasons why I'm concerned is because I believe he was thrown under the bus. I want to know from you guys, how did they measure whether or not stepping down is the right thing to do? Was there a scale, 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 10 meaning that he obviously did things that the president claimed he would do, grope women and, private parts and all that other stuff, or McLaren and Al Rogers, Roger Ailes, all that stuff. And then there's the 5 and under range, where he may have done something that bothered somebody, and they didn't like it, at which point they should have told him, and he should have apologized, which he did. But do you realize that what's considered sexual harassment today was not sexual harassment 10 years ago or even 5 years ago?
Yeah,
I'm a woman, and I care about all people, men, women, whatnot. But I want us to get to the point of righteousness. I remember the woman who claimed that he kissed her. Do you know he asked her if he can kiss her because he was a comedian? He wrote in the script a kiss. He says, in the script is a kiss. And so can we practice? And guess what she said? She said, okay. So when you agree to something, I don't see that as sexual harassment. Yeah. She said, okay.
LeMetric, we're running out of time. We're running out of time here. If I may interrupt you, let's get Scott's thoughts on this. I think you've laid out your position very, very thoroughly and well done, LeMetric.
Yeah, and I would agree with a lot of what you said, LeMetric. And what I would say is we're kind of in a new area. We're kind of in terra incognita for how to be handling what the due process is. We've seen historically, through history, often women be treated in an abominable way, and we also see women not be heard. And there's now a sense of trying to completely correct that. I think in the case of Al, I think there was a rush to judgment, and I think that he was pushed out. I think that's true. But I think that it's coming from a place of people trying to find what the right response is to something that has long been ignored.
Well, and the problem is that we haven't kind of standardized our response. I mean, we did this a long time ago. We all agreed that stealing is wrong, but we treat bank robbers very differently than we do shoplifters. Why is there not a public sexual activity equivalent of
Which
that?
I know a lot of women who disagree with Kirsten Gillibrand, saying we shouldn't be distinguishing between sexual harassment and sexual assault. I think that we should be making those kinds of distinctions. And I think you're completely right, Thom, about some of these things we haven't figured out yet. We also haven't figured out, with the case of a bank robber, even with a bank robber, if they go to prison and serve their time, we consider their debt to society paid, and they come back into society. We haven't yet figured out the process for people who are being taken off the air or taken away from their jobs, if there's going to be a time when they may return.
Yeah, and that's going to be.